We took our 351 Windsor to the machine shop, had it machined, had foxbody pistons installed on the Windsor rods, found a set of trick flow 170s that fit the budget we rebuilt, figured maybe the twisted wedge design might help our piston to valve. By using foxbody piston in this engine block, the pistons literally are at zero deck and have no valve reliefs. So in this video, we're going to be checking our clearance and several other measurements so we can get this motor sealed up and ready for the car. Don't like doing work after work. Is that supposed to be a watch? What's wrong with you, man?
What country is it? 5:30.
It's 3:30 somewhere. We're still working. Okay, so we're here at the machine shop with Dave Dalk. We're gonna unload the 387, do some piston to valve clearance and push rod length so we can start sealing this motor. We were getting ready to unload the engine, and Dave just finished a 393 for a customer, and he was telling me,
depending on the amount of corrosion that you see on a typical small block Ford and the way the factory gasket scallops in like this, if you don't deck all of that out, which would have required another almost 10 thousandths on this block, probably would because of some of these spots. Your Cometic gasket, the water port up here will allow water to seep down until it reaches this line. This embossment that goes across the bottom. Small amounts of water can seep through there. Well, if you've got that intersects that embossment, and you're not going to get a seal there.
And you just had this problem on the 393.
Yeah, you'll have a tendency
you'll see it leak
to drip there.
Yeah.
And you're like, why the hell is my gasket dripping? It won't leak combustion, but it'll seep.
I've heard of that before. I've read that before.
Well, I was wondering why people ran into that problem. But in this case, we only decked this block enough to get a good sealed surface at the cylinders because these pistons are a bit on the tall side.
Yeah.
If they had been an aftermarket piston, they'd have been shorter.
Right. And
we'd have decked more off. But we were just trying to make it simple. And now we're going to be locked into using like a Ford racing gasket or the Velcro, like the 101, the 1011s or something.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to be able to guarantee.
So if you've read anything about Cometic MLS gaskets, like he's saying, leaking on the side of the motor, but it's not leaking into the engine, and you don't have a combustion issue. That's what he's basically talking about. Especially this is really predominant on like production blocks, 302, 351. Like he decked the minimum amount on this motor that needed it to be flat, and he didn't realize, and we didn't realize that it was going to be an issue. So I mean, we're going to go with a different gasket, and we haven't even gotten into piston to valve yet, but I like to do a lot of how-to stuff with engines, and this is the 387. Good chance that we would have got this in the black car, and at some point it started leaking on the side of the engine. And
you can see how they're shaped though,
Right, they're like the contour like the original factory one, versus like a Cometic squared off.
If you look at that, you can see this embossement's way down here.
Yep.
So that's where you run into a problem.
So we're just trying to eliminate any issues that, I don't want to be taking the heads back off.
Yeah, this whole area is low.
Now this is a used gasket, guys. This is just something that he mocks up with.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, this is the high part, this line.
Right. 40 thou there. And I could just run the Velcro PT 933 PT1s too, if I wanted to.
So anyway, we could use these. Yeah, they got a steel core in them. So these are probably the same thing as the Velcros.
Probably 40,000, I'd imagine, crushed.
Yeah.
We'll check them out.
Anyway, I don't want to use those for mock-ups. I don't want to damage that.
Right. Let's get the engine in and we'll start putting stuff together. We're going to go ahead and pop a couple springs out. You're just going to check one, right? That's pretty much all we need to do.
One cylinder.
Yeah, one cylinder. Give us an idea. What do you think we can get away with? 80 thou, 60 thou? Yeah, these springs are pretty tight. Brand new valves. We did a lot of work with these trick flows. Spend a lot. You spend a couple of dollars. I mean, we got them used for $700 or $800. Ended up having to put what, $400 or $500 into them. Probably could have just bought
I was
227.
gonna say these were whooped, weren't they?
Yeah, they were pretty beat up.
We could have chose a number of aluminum cylinder heads. We found these Trick Flow 170s that fit the budget, rebuilt them, figured the twisted wedge design would work to our
To
favor.
give you guys an idea of what we actually have to do, if he doesn't put small springs in here, then he's going to end up fighting the spring pressure to check the piston, the valves. And this is how it's done.
I don't get paid enough for this, making me do stuff in sequence.
Inquiring minds want to know, bro.
Give me 2 more studs and 4 nuts.
Got it. Now, these are the old ARP head studs that from the 408. So we're just going to reuse them on the 387. I told you guys this is a budget build. So whatever extra parts we got, that's what we're going to use. These are just some 1.6s that we had from a parts car, another build. Extra for the build. What size push rod is that? 7-inch?
I don't know.
Something. That's
0 lash.
All right. All right, since we don't have 2 push rods, this is just like a length checker. We're just gonna go ahead and use the one push rod for each side. We're just gonna check one cylinder like that he had mentioned earlier, just to see if it hits. It's pretty much the same all the way around. It's gonna be a pretty nice little build if it doesn't hit. It'll save us from having to actually fly cut the pistons. Guys, it's probably more efficient if you, and we had talked about this on the channel before, and I talked about this with Dave. If you're gonna build this type of motor, just go ahead and buy 30 over pistons, even if they're budget. Makes it a lot easier. You don't have to deal with worrying about the valves hitting with the valve reliefs. Since these are factory and they're real small, that's what we're kind of concerned about here. But we talked about it. Use the same crank, use the same rods, use the same block, get a cheap set of 30 over pistons and be able to run them.
It's getting bigger. So that was our tight spot there somewhere. I'd say you've got 100 thou.
Yeah?
That's
Well, can we?
that's the intake.
So we were just kind of mocking it up here, and he seems to think it's about 100 thou with the twisted wedge. This is the one I'm kind of concerned with, you know, if it hits or not.
That was overlap. Try not to knock down the floor.
All right.
So we gotta make sure that we're down. We're down. Now I gotta set up 0 lash again. Just watch the lifters, watch it start coming up. Intake's going down, the exhaust is gonna come up now. We're more concerned about the exhaust when it's on its way down, because that's where overlap is. But we're watching number 6 come up, and when it gets close, we're gonna start checking.
Because the exhaust is coming down.
We're like 8 miles, 9 miles, 10 miles. There we go, finally, it's like 400 thou. The exhaust is like 8 miles away from the piston. It doesn't even come, it's not even in the program.
So the intake valve is the one that we had to worry
It's
about.
close, it comes about 80. You wanna clay it? And pull the head off.
All right, we'll clay it. So we got a length checker here. We're gonna go ahead and check the push rod length while we're at it here at the shop. That way I can just call up Trick Flow and order the push rods that I want or I need. You got your other optics. Look at this.
Look at me go.
There we go.
And the only thing is, the lifter's gonna be collapsed a bit, which we can't do right now with these springs.
There's 125 thou there, right?
No, it just changes the tip position a little bit.
So you're looking at the tip. So the nice thing about these measurements is I'll be able to start torquing all this stuff down and getting it set, the valve train set up, clean the engine again, put the intake on it, seal it up, and it'll be ready to actually put down in the car.
It's ink.
Correct. So what this actually does is this is going to locate the roller.
I'm just gonna show you what's happening.
It's going to show you how how well this length push rod, whatever that is.
Okay, well that's where it is. It's a little inboard and it's pretty fat. So we should go a little bit longer.
Okay. So right now we're sitting at
776.
So we ended up going through a couple rotations of trying to figure out the pushrod length on the engine using the ink in the tip of the valve where the roller located. Finally ended up getting a good measurement.
That's better.
That's a lot better.
So 790.
Yeah, well, you're going to need a 7950 because you're going to have preload.
Correct. These are just factory OE lifters. Dave was just like, listen, if we're going to build this engine, it's going to be budget. It's going to be the parts that we all have on the shelf. So they're going to have about 100 to 125-ish plunger, which means that's how much they move inside versus like the limited travels I showed you guys only had like 25-ish, which kind of act like a solid roller at wide open. I need to order a 7.95-inch push rod from TrickFlow, and that should work out for what we got with these rockers. So nice and set up. There's your push rod length. Just to show you guys here on the channel, I know that we don't need to clay them because we're not even really close. We're about 90 thou, which is fine, but Dave came up with the idea. He's like, you know what, for the video, let's just clay it. Oh, that's exactly what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you guys on the one that's close, which is the intake one. What in, that's all you're gonna put on there?
What else do you want to do?
You'll be fixing
here
it.
we go.
It's got clay on it now. What's that mean?
What? I'm gonna go.
Is it bad?
No, I'm just kidding.
Comedy hour here.
I didn't feel it. Doesn't mean we didn't hit it. I just didn't feel it.
Huh. So now you pull the head back off.
Put the head back on. We'll put some more on there.
The first iteration of clay did not even touch the valve. We're gonna stick some more clay on there and try to get it to touch. That's pretty good. Considering these heads and the way they're designed, the fact that they're like 58 cc's, oh, it works. Really kind of crazy considering how close to the deck these factory pistons are.
Still didn't feel nothing.
What about the exhaust? The exhaust isn't even close.
The exhaust was like 5 miles away.
So we actually did get a little bit of valve. You can see how pretty thick that is. Yeah. Factory piston on TRW.
So you can see that you're way outside of the valve pocket. Valve pocket means nothing. So your closest point is way up here. And that's how thick it is.
Wow. If you had to guess, what is that? That's a good 100 thou.
No, it's 80. It's what we measured.
So if you
I
had
mean, I
to,
can measure it, but
it's at least 80 there.
it's 80, which is what we saw before.
Right. What's the measurement?
Okay, that came through as 100, but the thing is, that's with a little bit of pressure.
Okay.
With nothing in there pushing the piston or anything, we measured 80.
Right. On your.
But this also shows you where the contact is. So there's your factory valve pocket way down here. And there's the TrickFlow valve way up here. So it's nowhere near the valve pocket, but it's got lots of room. No, the TrickFlow heads, that's one of the things about the twisted wedge is it favors that angle a little bit.
We're pretty much at the end of the video, guys. We're going to measure the gasket so you can see. This is just your standard, what is that, 1011 you said, Felpro? This is a used gasket, but it uses it for measurements. Compressed 42, which is about normal. I'm assuming a Felpro 9333 PT1, like the steel core ones like we've been using on the channel for years. I'm pretty sure that would work just fine in this, and we got those sitting at home. The twisted wedge TrickFlow design definitely favors the angle of the stock pistons. Kind of like what it did back in the 80s and 90s. That's kind of where the proprietary design came from. Just stick it on a stock block and be done with it. But what do you think? Good to go? We got good springs in those heads too, so we ain't worried about nothing. Freaking send it. And this motor's got like a 550 lift cam in it. So like I said, this thing is budget. We just threw it together with some extra parts. You guys seen it following on the channel. The playlist is at the end of this video. If you want to check it out, 387, baby. So we're going to stick the springs back on. Go ahead and load this back up and send it home. All right, guys, if you enjoy this sort of content, me and Dave here building motors, just trying to bring as much as I can to you here on the channel. If you're curious about getting an engine built, hit me up. I can maybe get you in contact with Dave maybe soon in the future, maybe not. I don't know how busy he gets. He's pretty busy. Outside of that, I appreciate you guys watching the channel. I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Members of the channel get exclusive content to the channel. I appreciate you guys for supporting the channel. We'll see you guys soon in the next video. Let's get this engine home. We'll start getting it sealed up. Thanks for watching.